You may have noticed in the previous video that I really needed to shave. I completely forgot about that, and this is because I did not have a dedicated to-do list. This is what we're gonna build today. Hey guys, welcome to Codemas days 21 and 22. It's really good to see you here. I have already created an empty React application, so we're ready to dive into the code. As you can see here, our app does nothing except just show this to-do text. Let's first get rid of this, and we need to add two things. First, the form, and second, we need to add the list. So we will create two different components here. Let me create a new file. Let's create a new folder and name it components. Components. Let's create a new file in there and name it form.js. Just save it empty. Another file, list.js. Now let's make them React components. Form, and then the list. So let's import them. Now I will create the state here, so const list set list equals to use state, which will be an empty array. Of course, we need to pass set list inside the form component, so set list equals to set list, save, and then inside the list component we need to pass the list, of course, so list equals to list. Of course, I'm not gonna use best practices and really good names and all this kind of stuff, because I'm doing this on the spot. I have nothing planned, I just knew that I needed to create a to-do list application. So don't judge me. We also needed to create the item schema, so let's create a new variable, const item schema equals to an object, and this object will have the ID. Let's initialize it with 0, and then it will have the text, as well as if it is done, which will initially be false. Let's save this, give some space here, and let's pass it into the form. So item schema, come on. Now let's go to the form and actually use the props. Get rid of this text and add an input. Now when we change this input, we want to use the onInputChange function, which we will create right now. Const onInputChange equals to a new function, which will use the setList prop. So let's copy it and paste it here. Nice. Now here we have the event, so we want to destructure it, so target, and based on the target value we will set new items, so we also need to use the schema. So the setList will have a callback function, so prev, in order to get the previous items, and return a new array that will have, of course, the previous, and also we'll return a new object along with the others that will have the item schema, props item schema, with the ID of prev.length +1, and then the text, let me give some spacing here so that you can see it, and the text will be the target value. Now let's go to the list and actually show the items. So props, we need them here, and then each item, let's copy this. We will iterate through the items. So list.map item, we will return a new div with just the item text. Save, and let's refresh our application. List is not defined, of course it's not defined, probes.list, save, go back, like this. Let me zoom in a little bit. Nice. So, think, this is not what we want. Let's go back to the form, and instead of creating a new item every time we change the value of the text of the input, we want to also have a button here that will on submit, actually on click, call the on item submit. So save, paste. So this means that we need a new handler to handle the input value. This also means that we need a new state value. So use state will be the text, set text will be an empty string. Let's also import the use state. So const on input chains equals to a new function that will get a target, and then it will set text target value. So on input chains is working as expected, and then on item submit we'll do this, but the text will be just text. Save, and let's go back. Oops. Let's give some text to the button, submit, or even add, even better, like this. Let's see what we've done. Item 1, actually I should shave. Autocorrect is judging me, so add. I should shave again. Add, and we have our list. Of course, no to-do application is complete without a checkbox to let us actually complete the items, not just have a list. So let's go to the list, and inside this div, before the text, let's create a new input, type checkbox, that will on chains change the item done. So let's also pass set list to the list. Set list equals to set list, like this. Now we'll create a new method, const toggle done equals to a new function that will get the target and the ID. Now toggle done will call probes set list that will give us the previous items, and prev.map item, and we will see what it will do in a bit. First, let's call this function on the onChains probe of the checkbox. So toggle done, but we don't want to call it like this. We want to pass the event and call it like this because we want to pass the target. So let's also destructure the target, and also we want to pass the ID, which will be the item.id. Now in here we have the actual item that we are changing. So inside the callback function of setList, we want to say if the item.id equals to id, then return the item, but we want the done to be the target checked. Let me actually put this in a new line so that you can see it. Otherwise, we want to return the item. Now one last thing remains is to give the checked property of the item .done. Save, and let's go back to Chrome. So I should shave. Add. I should shave again. Add. But I have done this, so let's check it. And we have it. Of course, this application is useless unless it saves the items somewhere. This somewhere for us will be the local storage. Let's save the items. We will create a use effect, which will be called every time the list is changed. And then let's remove this. So when the list changes, we want to call local storage set items. The key will be to-do list, and then we want to JSON stringify the list. But of course we also want to load it when we refresh the app. So let's remove the empty array from here, and then local storage get item to-do list. Save, refresh, failed to compile. Of course this is because I did not import use effect, so let's do this now. Use effect, save, go back, refresh. Cannot be property map of null. This is because local storage returned nothing, because to-do list doesn't exist yet. So we will use this pretty little trick to set it. Save, go back, and everything works as it should. I should shave, add, and let's refresh. Probes list map is not a function. This is because we have it here stringified. So basically list is now a string. What we can do is to wrap this here in JSON parse. Save and go back. Now we can see the item that we set previously. So let me check it to make it done, refresh, and we can see that it is saved and reloaded as it should. And that's it for another Codemas video. Thanks for being here, I hope you liked it. If you did, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. I will see you tomorrow, have a wonderful day.